Thank you very much, Louis, and thanks for just summing up my life in 2 minutes. It was 30 years you went through, so it brought a lot of memories. Certainly one of the memories I have, and a good one, is working for the same company as Susan did. And this company normally recruits people mainly at the same profile. At a result that are very common thinking people, many of them within APM terminals. As a result, that will also do the same thing when we present something about our port, and will provide you with the same information. So thank you, Suzanne. To my communication manager, who's somewhere here on this call, the first and the last slide of the presentation are still the same. The rest I changed, so it might look a bit scrappy, but I just adapted it so that I won't repeat Susan. So a little presentation. I hope you can see it. There it is. You see SOHAR? Yes. We are a port in Oman, the Sultanate of Oman. For the people here in this, yes, there it is. In this conference, here you see Oman, so opposite Pakistan and India at the entrance of the Gulf. And Oman is not a very well-known country, I think, in the world, but it's certainly a pearl in the Middle East, and I'm very glad to be there. The port is in the north of Oman, basically just outside the Gulf. The port is 50% owned by the Port of Rotterdam and 50% owned by the government of Oman. And we established the port in 2005. So we've just been celebrating our 15-year anniversary. And here you basically see our port on the top of the picture, 7x3, so 21 square kilometer. And we have the Freezone, that's over here. It's quite a large area, 45 square kilometers, 3 kilometers distance from the port. We have an airport, we have an industrial estate, and we call this the gateway to Oman. So here you receive about 70% of the imports of the country. So we are a very important part of the infrastructure of the Sultanate. We have, of course, had our trouble and problems over the last months, and I think Susan addressed it already, Anupam addressed it already. But I think there are a few things that I'd like to say. In your business continuity plan, of course, you analyze the risks. And for us, there was a huge risk coming from a pandemic, but also in combination with a low oil price. And of course, as a country, but also as a company, we are depending on many of the petrochemical industries in our port and Freezone. Before I forget, we are operating the Freezone and the port as a landlord. So we do not operate the terminal. We have well-known, renowned terminal operators for that, but we act as a landlord and as an authority. So we had our risk analysis for low oil price. We had our risk analysis for IT security breaches. We had a risk analysis for pandemics, but we didn't have a risk analysis for things coming together, which it did. So we've learned quite a lot of this, and we took basically the same measures as I think everyone else took. So I've been segregating teams, and we have been making sure that our operations can run. And our operations is the tugboats, the pilots, the linesmen, etc. So we are operating the port. And of course, we have had the same discussions with our tenants who operate the terminals or the factories. So how do you make sure that you keep your company running? And we have been successful so far. And I must say we are very happy because we even grew our volume over the last 9 months, with a little more than a percent, which is, I think, fairly good in these circumstances. What we see is that there's an enormous need to run exercises with all your partners in the value chain or in the logistic chain. So as well said before me, it's nice if you run your own company well, but then customs get a problem or your terminal, you're still missing one shekel in the chain and the chain still doesn't work. And I think especially with things that you do not see coming, so like a pandemic or also like, for instance, an IT breach. So we saw the problem that, that Maersk had in APM terminals where they were actually not the target of an IT issue, but they were just collateral damage. And we should also remember what happens if that happens to one of my terminals or to my customs or to my gate control. So we're trying to run far more multiple exercises with multiple parties of our port involved, both real time as well as classroom simulations. And we do learn a lot of it. So a very nice question is, if all our IT systems now stop, how long does it take you to go back to manual? For a container terminal, that's slightly difficult, I know that. But for other systems in our port and for other terminals, that could well be possible. We know now by now what is possible and what isn't possible. So we learn a lot from this last crisis together with our tenants, together with our stakeholders in the whole value chain. And I think we have certainly updated our business continuity plan of our company, and I think we're better weaponized against future crises. Also, we just know how to find each other better, because this was a crisis that we were in together. So we had our labor camps infected, and in this labor camp there's not one terminal, but there are 5 or 6 terminals present. So what do? You need to collaborate, you need to come together, you need to think of measures together. So I think we grew together also. We also saw a lot of challenges and a lot of opportunities. So one thing we see is that there is a speeding up of our energy transition. So this happens at our partners with Port of Rotterdam, for instance. It happens all over the world. And we also see that it's happening with us. There's more interest now due to the combination of the oil crisis and COVID-19 in looking at other investments, at sustainability and saving gas by making electricity in a different way, by looking at hydrogen, etc., etc. So we've seen that there's a lot going on in that at the moment, and that we are speeding up our energy transition. Also very nice, 3 days into the crisis with COVID, when we were actually locking down the offices, digitalization, what we had been striving for 3 or 4 years, was arranged in days. So all our paper documents were gone in a few days' time because we just couldn't have them anymore. So now our task is to make sure that they don't return and that we keep digitalized. In the meantime, we introduced a bit more of a year ago, Navigate. You see it on the screen, where you can easily plan your container trip from Oman or to Oman, from anywhere in Oman to anywhere in the world, and see how long it takes and what possibilities you have and what shipping lines you can use. And we'll even make sure that in a few months' time there is a booking module to it too. So you just look up the route and you book your container. Having a lot of our people working from home, having some of the work being shifted, we had time to look at the development of these kind of things, to gather data, etc., etc. And that brings me to one of the other opportunities we had. That's training and education. So we have invested enormously in digital training and making sure that all our people do the mandatory training that is necessary, but also that they can enhance or widen or broaden their knowledge. So we introduced a training platform digitally, and we've seen that many of our people have taken hours and hours and hours of online training and actually enjoy that quite a lot. So I must say that was also some very positive news from working from home and having time, more time, to look at these kinds of things. Thank you very much. This is the last slide. This is made by the communication department. You see it's very good looking. And I certainly invite you all to visit the beautiful Sultanate of Oman and enjoy its mountains, enjoy its deserts, and enjoy its beaches. And then you're always welcome to drive by the port of Sohar in the north of Oman. Back to you, Louis.